Welcome to 007 Vintage. This is Luis Pachon, and today we are going to talk about one of the most underrated James Bond video games, From Russia with Love, which is the final performance of Sean Connery as the legendary superspy. Made by Electronic Arts in the gap between Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig's 10 years, the game is a love letter to the fans of the franchise, a memento from a long gone time when Ian really cared about traditional fandom. Unfortunately, it wasn't as successful as Everything or Nothing, and it eventually marked the end of the license for EA. However, the level of detail and the quality of the game shows that it was a true labor of love. Presented here on high-definition graphics using the PCS X2 emulator, with some glitches that will be evident during the video, it is a testament on how the game has stood the test of time and is still an enjoyable experience after all of these years. The game opens with the traditional gun barrel and an introductory sequence in which Bond is at a social gathering in order to protect Elizabeth Stark, the Prime Minister's daughter, from the threats of Octopus, a placeholder for Spectre, because the rights of the organization belonged to rival Bond producer Kevin McClory back then. Obviously, Octopus attacks and Elizabeth is kidnapped, and the game has just begun. I cannot express with words how excited I was to see Sean back to the role. I mean, it is a well-known fact that he wasn't on very good terms with Cavi Broccoli and Harry Saltzman, the original producers of the movies, when he left the series, even declining to appear at the 40th anniversary of the cinematic saga. And yet here we are, playing as him with his likeness and voice. Obviously, it's odd to play with him being this young-looking Bond and listening to his older voice. But anyway, this is something absolutely fantastic, and it doesn't detract from the experience. But why Connery? Well, I think Electronic Arts was working on an Everything or Nothing sequel, but as Ian didn't ask Brosnan to return, not in a very good way, by the way. What happens between them and the actors is something out of my understanding. But anyway, Electronic Arts conducted a poll, and the top of the favorite Bonds for a game were Roger Moore and, of course, Sean, which ended up being the final choice. I feel that we haven't appreciated enough the fact that we had the original James Bond in a video game, and a really good video game. Everything from the 60s era is here: the colors, the scenarios, the weapons, and the technology. The music, which is composed by Christopher Leonard, immerses you into the original years of the series. Leonard would eventually return for the first Activision Bond game, Quantum of Solace, some years later. In one of the unlockable videos within the game, Glenn Schofield, the executive producer of the title, refers to it as a sort of a director's cut, with the inclusion of many action devices from the other movies, such as the DV5 from Goldfinger and the Jetpack from Thunderball. And I think that those additions were necessary, because while it is my favorite Sean Connery era film, and his favorite too, it was his favorite too, the movie lacks action due to it being more of a noir spy thriller rather than the action-packed films that we are now used to. And yet here we are, facing a helicopter around the Big Ben, which is quite an opening boss for a 007 adventure, of course it is. It's funny, she asked for his name, when earlier the bartender stated that she wasn't worried because 007 was there to protect her. This is a huge contradiction, but anyway, it's still a fun game. Now we got some proper title sequence, which is a computer-generated video showcasing one of my favorite elements of the game, the cast. Electronic Arts could have gone the Activision route with the GoldenEye remake for the Nintendo Wii and recast all of the characters, but instead they decided to use the likenesses of all of the main actors. We got Bernard Lee, Laura Lenia, Robert Shaw, Daniela Bianchi, Pedro Armendariz, Lois Maxwell, even Kronstein and Krylenko, played by Vladek Shaybal and Fred Haggerty, are here too. Also, we have two new Bond girls, Natasha Bedingfield, who was really liked at EA because she worked with them before with a song for the ending credits of GoldenEye Rogue Agent, and Maria Menounos. She plays Eva Adara, one of Octopus's villains. I think we will never see this kind of thing ever again in the Bond video games. 007 Legends tried to replicate this, but unfortunately some of the agreements fell through, or they were not interested at all, like what happened with Lois Childs and Halliburton respectively. The game has 14 levels and 4 bonus levels, which are unlocked by collecting awards in the normal levels. Some of those additional scenarios work as a complement, as additional missions for the main story, or are just simple challenge levels with waves of enemies to defeat. Also, the game has a simple RPG kind of system which allows the player to upgrade weapons and gadgets, as well as the possibility of finding outfits in the missions, which only provide cosmetic value to the main character model. Additional characters for multiplayer can be unlocked by game progression or in exchange of skill points. Short documentaries and trailers can be also unlocked with those points, as well as some concept art in video form only. I really wish they had the images and you could move through the images, but anyway, it's a good addition. And that's all. Thanks for staying until the end. If you are a James Bond fan and haven't played From Russia with Love, please give it a try. Also, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Bye for now.